The first thing DiDi did when I handed her the maraschino cherries was hold them way up high and sashay across our kitchen, calling out, "Sweet stuff coming through!" Then she peeked back over her shoulder and did a little bam bam with her hips. And I'm not talking about the maraschino cherries. DiDi is always cracking jokes like that. Like at dinner last night, she yelled out, "Hot stuff coming through!" Big wink. And I'm not talking about the tuna noodle casserole. Of course, she didn't think it was all that funny last Thanksgiving when she was sweating under that heavy platter and I yelled, "Big turkey coming through, and I'm not talking about Thanksgiving dinner." DiDi set the cherries down on the counter and got right to work making Mama's famous Twinkie pie. We usually only have Twinkie pie once a year for our birthdays, which are exactly 9 years, 9 days, and 9 hours apart. But today, DiDi made an exception because she wanted to bring it to welcome night at my new school, where all the parents would get to meet the teachers and stuff. It was hosted by this committee that I guess controls the universe, seeing how much DiDi wanted to impress them. Whenever DiDi makes Mama's recipes, she likes to pretend she's starring in her own TV cooking show. Sometimes she even puts on a nice shirt for the occasion. I told her she should let her curls go all loose and pretty, which would look great on camera. But I don't think there's been a day in her life she didn't have them pulled back in a tight little knot. I got myself nice and comfy. My job is to watch, and DiDi's is to ignore any suggestions I might make. "Now remember, GiGi," she said in her cooking show voice, "the secret to Twinkie pie is to make it just like Mama did, and that means using maraschino cherries so you can make your whip topping the perfect shade of pinky red. Just like," I said the next part with her, "cherries in the snow." Ever since I was a little bitty thing, whenever DiDi made Twinkie pie, she'd tell me the story of Mama and Revlon's Cherries in the Snow lipstick. Cherries in the Snow was Mama's favorite lipstick, and the only one she'd ever wear. Why, if she walked into a drugstore and they were out of it, she'd walk right out that door and down the street to the next store, and the next, and the next, until she found it. I remember how happy it made me to imagine my Mama being so particular about her lipstick. I imagined she looked just like DiDi with her tilty nose and curvy top lip. I'd pretend the little pink candles DiDi put on top of the Twinkie pie were tiny lipsticks, pulling them off and spreading the frosting on my own mouth. "I wish I had cherries and snow," I used to say. "I wish you did too, baby girl," she'd answer. But no one does anymore. The good people at Revlon haven't made that lipstick in about 100 years. Of course, I found out later it was nowhere near 100 years. But it didn't matter either way. It was gone. When she lit the candles, DiDi would lean in close and say, "Make a wish, G. Only, well, you don't want to go wasting a perfectly good birthday wish on." Then she'd put her cheek next to mine and whisper, "Why don't I just make one for the both of us?" And we'd blow out the candles together. Even as a little girl, I knew what she was worried about. Me wishing for things that would never come true, that would never come back. I watched as DiDi set out all her bowls and mixing spoons in a nice tidy row. She winked up at her imaginary camera. "Now, I always like to make the pudding ahead of time, so it's nice and chilled when I'm ready to get started." I was sitting on one of our new twirly bar stools. They slid under this counter that's like a big window between the kitchen and the living room, so you can pass food out to the people sitting there like you're at the diner. Before we moved, our friend Lori found the stools in the dumpster behind this bar she used to go to. She was pretty handy now that she was on the wagon, and she gave them nice new seat covers. Except for some scratches on the legs, they were perfectly fine.